I think we should try something new. I think we should try some real life coaching. You hear all these people talking about how to do certain things. You've seen me explaining strategy on videos, but I wanted to try something else. I wanted to have somebody in the show that would ask me a real sales question with real sales problem with real sales people. So I've invited Pieter.
Hello, Michael.
Pieter, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
This is the first one, so let's see what happens, right? So, Pieter, maybe explain very, very briefly what you do, where you work for, and then what's the question you have?
Hello, Michael. Thanks for having me on your show. So I'm working at Dropsolid. Dropsolid, very shortly, digital experience company. We build successful digital experience together with our clients. And now I work for over 3 years as a business developer, digital advisor, what's in a name. And the question I have is sometimes I struggle with qualification. I mean, we come in touch with a lot of leads or prospects that come in via our website, via different channels.
Hang on, let me refine the question. So, qualification on inbound leads, because there is a difference on qualification on you going to someone and they don't know you, and it's much more difficult.
Yeah,
right?
of course.
If you have somebody asking you a question, so you got to refine a little bit.
Yeah, that's a good remark you make. Also with COVID times last year, there was less cold calling, less outbound calling. So it's more about inbound leads, where we also have we build a marketing machine the last couple of years, so lots of leads coming in. So that's good. And also for sales team, that's really awesome. But of course, there is still some diversity in those leads coming in. Yeah. So that's the question, I think, when we got a lead inbound, we do a call with it. Thank you for contacting us, of course. And then how do you start qualifying, and how do you feel, is this going somewhere or not?
So there are many methodologies, right? And one of the most famous methodologies is the BANT methodology. Yeah. Do they have budget? Am I talking to the right person? So the authority, do they need it? Which is the most important. And what's the time frame they need it? So if you think about any discussion, any conversation you gotta try and figure out those 4 questions. Now, before we go to BANT, there is another methodology. So if you're in the SaaS business, software as a service, qualification is something a little bit different, because it is easier to move away. It is faster to close deals. And the impact of that is that you will have to requalify every single time. So there are 2 ways, right? The first one is the more traditional model, the one-shot method. Let's figure out the questions. Let's go there later. 2 is, how can we constantly figure out if we're still on track, if we're requalifying? Yeah. And they're very different methodologies, right? By the way, methodology on SaaS is all based on impact, trying to figure out how much impact will your shizzle have on their business. The higher the impact, the faster it will go, the more money you can ask, right? So maybe let's go to the more traditional first. And the way I would do this is, I don't know if I would do it in the first conversation, because at the end you always need a conversation, right? You can't do it on an email. And it's difficult, but because it's easy not to respond. The problem nowadays with all this digital and online, it's easy not to do anything. It's easy to slow down in there, right? And then you need an excuse to go back, and very quickly it's like you're banging on the door, and it feels very weird. Yeah. In the old days, they would kind of corner somebody and they would put them in a corner and say, you got to answer. What's it going to be? Are we going to work together? and I think you should be a little bit, depending on the culture, you should be a little bit careful with that question, right? I think you should ask the question eventually, but not in the first call or the second call, right? Yeah. Especially bigger projects, you have too many stakeholders. So the way I do this is I will actually try and start at the end. I'll try to figure out why they need it and why now. That's always the biggest important thing. Why now? So you phone me up. Can I ask you a question like, why do you guys need this? I know you guys doing like digital experience and websites and all that. Why would you need it now? Because you already have a website, and I had a look at it, which gives you an excuse to personalize, to bring in some value, right? I had a look at it, and it's not bad. Stay positive, and then they'll hopefully answer. They always have to have an answer. If they don't answer at all, or they kind of go left and right, you should actually put it like in 3-4 months in your pipeline. You shouldn't think it's an immediate opportunity. Second thing you got to figure out is most of the time when people reach out to you for the very large projects, it's never going to be the top decision maker. Then your job is to try and figure out, like, so why now? What's the time frame to do this, right? And then you have to say, well, our model is we take about 2 months, depending on what you need, but somewhere between 1 month to 4 months. And on purpose, I'm going to try and inject some extra larger things like 1 to 4 months, so they know it's not going to be fast and cheap and easy. And also, if they are not scared by the bigger numbers, like 4, 6, I mean, just saying something, 4 to 6 months, or if they would ask me the budget, I would say actually, like, for the budget, let me give you 2 examples. And then I give an example, like customer X, their problem was tac, tac, tac. They needed it urgently. Budget is around 10K. But we also had a customer Y, they needed that, and of course we needed more time to build all of that because of their requirements, it has some more value. Budget was 100K.
Yeah.
I'm saying. And then 1, you've given social proof, so it's not you saying you're good, it's them saying you're good.
Yeah.
2, you can actually always, you feel, you see if they're not shocked or anything. Because if they're shocked with 50K or 6 months projects, you know, maybe you're not the right company, or maybe you're not the right guy, or it needs to go to the inside sales team, whatever business model you're applying.
Budget is always a question that we try, indeed, in the first call to have a certain idea, to have a certain clue about what the budget is. A range. Sometimes we also offer a range. Sometimes I say, okay, let me sketch a bit the ecosystem about our solutions, and we build solutions this and this for 10 to 20K or starting from 20K, but we also build like really custom solutions with complex integrations going from 100 to 200K, and then indeed you get a first reaction and you see, okay, what is the budget? I think what you say is also good, that you also talk about the clients, that you also say you can always contact, for example, this client or this client, client X or client Y. It's always stronger that they tell about the collaboration they had with Dropsolid or with any other company. I think that's.
What do you do if they avoid your questions?
If they avoid
is it then disqualified, or is it because sometimes you get these procurement boys and you get stuck, right?
That's maybe also just a question I have, and I'll come back on that. But what I also had in the past, and that's something I wanted to share with you, is that in a first call. It was before COVID, so it was a physical meeting back then. So it's been a while. I had that comment that they say, "Oh, it looks a bit like I'm in how you call it, like in a police interrogation, and like I get a lot of questions. Maybe you experienced it also in the past when you don't have the experience you have now. How do you try to have really a conversation and not have the feeling that you are always asking the questions?
Your first meeting, I think you should ask 3-4 questions max in the beginning. If they're very talkative, you can ask more. But if you ask, like, you have these people that quiz you, like, and how do you do this and what's the technology, and it's like the Spanish Inquisition, right? Nobody wants that. Most people also expect something else. Is when they invite you, they actually expect to learn something.
Yeah.
They want you're the expert, not them. So they've invited you to talk about whatever you do, but you're the expert. So one of the things, a good trick that would work is like to use a model, to explain a model. Say, listen, you ask some questions and then you think, okay. So you can say, like, you can either do it like layered, for instance, and then I would take an example of like them. Said, well, we have some customers that are a bit similar situation, and we started out there, and then we went there, and then we went there.
Yeah.
See? It guides them. And then they'll go, and how did they do this, or what did they do then?
Yeah.
And that's a very good technique if you have a company like yours that exists for a while and that has really solid references. If you would be a startup, well, you're in trouble. You can't say that. You got to do different things then.
Yeah, indeed.
Thanks a lot for the questions, Pieter.
Thank you, Michael, for your advice.
Being the first one.
Yeah. I know it's really nice and very helpful.
If you ever have questions, you mail them, and then I'll try to ignore you with pleasure.
Okay. I'll send you our information. Bye-bye. Yeah.